can I do when I'm stuck inside you? This cell of ice and fire, what blood red death, lost in desire, smell of life.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Here for the Christmas special to celebrate Secret Santa. We got Adam Marcus. We got
Hey, y'all.
Robert Kurtzman and his wife Marcy King over here. And Deborah Sullivan couldn't make it. She is deathly ill, I guess.
Yes, she is. She is. It's
So-
not COVID, thank goodness. But yeah, she is out.
Not COVID. Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully she feels better. And I want to thank you guys for coming. We're trying to get this together for a while. So pretty excited. And yeah, this is the first time I've had this many people on at once without a co-host. So I'm by myself. Didn't want to bring my Jason Goes to Hell hating co-host. I tried to get a couple people to replace him. And that just fell through. The Dolls of Horror, a couple of those girls were going to help me out, but then the time didn't jive. And Brian Emmenizer, who you probably knows,
Yeah,
he's at work. So this is a flying solo. So hopefully I can get this together and not suck too bad.
I love it, dude. Love it.
All right. So, all right. Where do we start? So Adam,
Yeah.
the movie came out in 2018, Secret Santa. That's what we're here mostly for. We'll talk about
it kind of came out in 2018. Here's the reason. The thing about that date is that that's when the movie was released overseas. That's when we had hit the festival circuit. So the minute you hit the festival circuit, they kind of start the clock at that point as though that's the release of the movie. But in North America, it just got released. It's done Blu-ray, it's done DVD, all that good stuff. But its official release in this country was this year.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. But I do a show. We do the year in horror, and I've noticed that when we're trying to find movies that come out a certain year, that we'll get one date, but that's the date it was released overseas, like you said.
Yep.
I had no idea it was new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen it for the first time after meeting you almost a year to the day.
Absolutely, brother.
You gave me the DVD, and I bought a Blu-ray from you, and the poster that's over my shoulder that way, I think. Signed by most of you guys, if not all of you guys.
All three of us signed it.
Yeah, there's like 25 signatures on there, and I think there was like 27 credits, so it's pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at that the other day. I was like, oh yeah, Marcy's name's right there. I couldn't find.
Damn right it is. Damn right it is.
So, but since I bought the Blu-ray, what I did with that DVD that you gave me is I gave it to somebody else and told him when he's done watching it to give it to somebody else, and so on and so forth. So
Love
it
it.
can go, get to a bunch of people.
Love it.
So all right. So the movie came out this year, and the movie was it's a Skeleton Crew production. What is Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew is the company that myself, my amazing wife Deborah, and my partner, and my best friend Brian Sexton, the three of us created the company. We created it actually just before we made Secret Santa, and it really was a reaction mostly to Texas Chainsaw 3D. Because it's really true, because I'd been making studio films my entire career. In fact, Bob and I met on my first studio movie, Jason Goes to Hell, which was my first film as a director. And Bob, not only was Bob the genius behind everything that's in that movie as far as the effects and what was created to make that movie as epic as it is, Bob was also the second unit director of that film, because I was, while I was 23, I was still smart enough to know what I didn't know.
Right.
And I was like, look, I have not shot effects before. I'm not going to be smart enough to be able to learn that quickly enough to do what we're doing here. And so I was like, Bob, I need you to help me with this. You got to help me. And Bob just knows his shit, plain and simple. What was amazing, I mean, we had just met on that movie in pre-production. And within days, I felt so completely comfortable and felt such an instant brotherhood with Bob that I was like, if there's anybody I'm going to trust in this world, it's Bob Kurtzman. So, so that made things much easier for me. Here's the thing: as I progressed,
hit it off pretty quickly on that, and then because there was something almost every day to do, that was complicated. we had that second hand in it. It was really a fun time where, we were actually having fun on a movie. I know you had issues because you're dealing with a studio and all that. I didn't have those issues. I just had to deal with you.
Yep.
But,
No, honestly, I had a great time shooting Jason Goes to Hell. Like the thing, while the studio was fine, the studio was actually okay. It was really more Sean Cunningham, who's just not a nice guy. But the thing but think about Sean, and really to give the devil their due, Sean is an excellent line producer. When it comes to like having stuff on set for you to do what you have to do, there's nobody better than Sean Cunningham. He's just really good at it. And so as a line producer, he put a woman named Debbie Cass in charge. Debbie Cass was the one who was sort of the day-to-day operations. Between the two of them, it never had an issue with like what needs to happen on my set. And Sean just wasn't there. He didn't give a shit. He just wasn't there. So there's like this whole thing about like Sean coming in to reshoot stuff that I'd shot. None of that is true. It just didn't happen. He wasn't around. And so Bob and I got to be kids in a candy store. Like anything we could dream up. And actually it was awesome because, Bob and Howard Berger, who Bob is wearing a shirt advertising Howard Berger's fantastic book on makeup effects, on the history of makeup effects. Those two guys were kind of, they were the mad scientists of what went down on set. They just were. They were the guys who created all of the designs, along with people like John Bisson. And, they had this incredible team of artists. But Bob and Howard were the chief artists in charge of every piece of illusionary technical work that happened on that movie, like soup to nuts. Right. So much so that even when it came time to bring in, like we did these effects in the movie that now you could do on digital on your home computer. Back then, it was like just an insane process. They were the guys who introduced me to Al Magliochetti, who was the guy who created all of that magic. So truly, they were so my pipeline to everything creative. And here's what's amazing about that. I became friends with Bob, of course, and also with Howard, to the extent that we would all get each other so excited about shit that we wanted to do on the movie that nobody had given him enough money to do. Like, there was not enough money to make this movie the way we wanted to make it. Here's what's awesome. So Nicotero was sort of the purse strings guy, right?
Right.
And so he would be I love that the train's coming through. No, that's awesome. Are you kidding? Everybody knows.
I was doing my homework for the show and listening to some podcast Bob had been on, and I heard him say, "You'll probably hear this train come through."
You're talking to Bob and Marcy when the train comes through. So here's the thing. Greg was the purse strings guy, and Bob and Howard were the dreamers, along with me, and I convinced them enough to do shit that they should never have been doing on the budget we had. Where there were times when Nicotero would come up to me and be like, "Okay, dude, I can't let you in the shop anymore because I can't afford this fucking movie. You're killing us on this movie."
You were how old when you did that movie? You were like 21 years old, right?
I was 21 when I got the job. I was 23 when I directed the movie.
And so, Bob, how old were you on that movie? Because you can't be much. You got to be close to the same age as Adam, right?
We are.
What year was it? 91?
92 was when we shot.
92, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you visited the set of Army of Darkness in 91,
you were 28.
I think, or something.
Right, 91 is when I came to Army of Darkness. Yep.
You were 27.
So yeah, I was like 28, 27.
How old were you when you got your start in this? Then you had to be really young. Because Army of Darkness is a few.
I was 19. I started when I was 19.
19, nice.
Like 1984.
And Marcy, did you also work on Jason Goes to Hell or no?
No, I started when I was 50.
50. So my next question was, how did you guys meet? How did you two meet?
We've actually known each other since kind of kindergarten.
Yeah.
So kindergarten, nice. I know you guys are both Northeast Ohio guys, right?
We grew up in the same small town and graduated a year apart and had art classes together, which was mortifying. Let's not go into that. Because I thought I was an artist until this guy came into class.
I'm tired of hearing that story.
Yeah, I know. You was I didn't get into detail. I could have told him about all the shit you did, but it's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, we both kind of grew up monster kids, though. She was always into monster movies as well.
Yeah, my mom,
And
like 3 years
it's
old,
like-
she caught me watching like a Bela Lugosi black and white movie,
Nice.
and she's like, Marcy, what are you doing? And I'm sitting there riveted, going, I see the man. He's coming, And I was like, I remember a woman in a bed and French doors open and the curtains were blowing and he was outside coming off the balcony into the room. And I was just like, and that was it, So after that, I went to Abbott Costello kind of funny horror and also Godzilla because I have an older brother. And we were watching the same shows. Friday night was our horror host night and Saturday morning was another horror host. And if we got lucky, there was a replay on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So we said we just didn't know each other well enough in high school because we were both sitting in front of the TV.
Pretty
every
much.
weekend.
That was my weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Every movie we could, because we didn't have digital at the time, so we had to
You
look
had to
at the
get
TV guide and figure out what was coming out, and then
Oh yeah, same.
Make
Or
sure
you
you watch
went
it,
to the rental place that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what we
it's
call
another
ours.
By the way, I do have to correct one thing though. Marcy said she came to when she's 50. She's a stinking liar because there's no way that she's anywhere near 50 as of this moment. So I'm not buying any of these stories. I think the two of them came up with this whole fake history about knowing each other since they were kids. And all.
That way it looks like they're closer in age, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to do that, but I have a big birthday in just a couple weeks, and I'm going to be 60.
Sure,
It's insane.
she's a vampire, Rick. She's a vampire.
My dad's genetics. That's
Bela
all.
Lugosi.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's genetics. Okay.
Yeah, we were talking the other day to set this up, and we were talking about because she used to live in Cleveland, things around Cleveland. Said, "Well, I'm a little bit older than you," and it's like, "Well, you can't be that much older than me because I'm in my mid 40s."
Yeah, no. It's
does not look anywhere near 60.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Don't
When you
do
get
that.
It's the ring light.
Right, she's got the Sybil Shepherd filter on that side of the camera.
There's an app going right now.
Here's the problem. Bob and I both are married to women that so defy their ages that now we're looking like the dirty old men that pick up the hot girls.
That's
like,
it. That's it.
It's a little over the top. I'm just gonna put that out there.
She's a cougar.
Yeah. By the way, I met Marcy on the set of Secret Santa. Actually, that's where we physically met. I met her 2 months earlier than that. At the end of November 2015, I met Marcy on the phone. And it is amazing. Like Bob and I had spoken. He'd read the script, and I had told him I had no money. I flat out said, I was like, dude, I said, listen, I am not going to go to anybody before I go to you with anything like this. There's no way.
Right.
So I'm bringing it to you. I totally understand if you say no, but I love this movie. I think we're going to do something really cool here. I have no money. And he's like, what does that mean? I said, no. I'm not like being cute about it. I have no money. I have nothing.
Is the budget, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm like, there's really just nothing, right? and so Bob, I was smart enough to get Bob on the phone first, not Marcy. So Bob read it, called me back literally an hour and a half later. Like he read it, I sent it, he read it. Okay. He calls me an hour and a half later. He's like, I'm in. He says, as long as you can get me and my assistant, because they were just working together at that point.
Okay.
If you can get me and my assistant, there, put us up, feed us. I was like, dude, of course, done. I then asked, because I was on a roll, I asked, hey, want to shoot second camera? And Bob literally said to me, man, now I feel like I should be paying you. I was like, oh, this is awesome. But wait, then Bob says, okay, so call Marcy and set everything up. She's the one who, coordinate everything. I said, great. I call her up. And then the hammer comes down. And I am telling you, I was on the phone for like 2 hours on my first call with Marcy. I was like, God damn. So she runs the house, right? Like Bob is like, again, like we're kindred spirits. So Bob is like this guy who like runs around throwing, clay at the walls and doing like the mad scientist shit. And Marcy's like, yeah, okay. So here's what we need for the flight. And I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's awesome actually, because the minute that I spoke with her, I kind of was like, wow, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get around her the way I got around Greg. And two, I actually was like, my buddy is protected.
Mhm.
And that's a really cool thing. That's a really cool thing because a lot of our industry can be very manipulative, and
absolutely.
not for good, not in a good way. And you really always need. And look, if there have been times in my career when I've had a good manager and a good agent. They're rare moments, but I've had them. And when you have someone who's good, they gatekeep in a way that helps, that really does make the world easier to navigate, and that you don't get screwed all the time. And so when I met Marcy, I was kind of like, okay, cool. Bob's got somebody in his corner. He's not going to get screwed. And that was pretty spectacular. So I'm singing Marcy's praises just from a business standpoint.
Yeah,
Artistically, she's fucking great.
Yes, this is true. But you know how many times she'll book something or something and then go, oh, by the way, this is what we're doing on Saturday, or next week we have this thing we're doing. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. So
You have to stay relevant. You have to be relevant to be relevant. You have to stay relevant. I'm sorry. That's the way.
She knows when you got to eat your vegetables, brother. I'm just telling you. Just telling you.
So
dude.
you need to listen.
Hey, listen. Mine is literally above my head right now. She's right there. Trust me, listening in on this and taking notes.
That's good. I'm so glad you remember that, because the first time that I meet a lot of people, I hear that and on the phone or whatever, I hear holy shit, that was difficult or whatever. And I'm like, maybe I'm doing my job, but I'm really big on vetting and making sure people are legitimate, because so many times I've gotten crazy bullshit emails for him, and I'm like, what? Just crazy stuff.
You know what? Because our part of the industry, horror movies, because it is the gateway, because so many people start in horror, and because so many kind of horror fans want to make movies, like they're so motivated to do that. There's a lot of people who try to sell you a really good story about what they've got, how much money, what they're doing, what they're working on. And part of that, I get, is the salesman thing. You have to do it. Like, I was that kid. And Bob was that kid. Bob started when he was 19, for fuck's sake. So you don't have anything when you're 19. All you've got is your brain. And if it's good enough brain, you can sometimes fool people into hiring you or trusting you to do something. The problem is there's very few people who can actually pull it off at that age. And trust me, it actually gets worse when they're double that age.
Hang on. So we were talking about Cleveland, which makes me think of Bob Clark and his movie Christmas Story, and his horror movie, which was Black Christmas.
Black Christmas, brother.
And me and my wife the other day, we think of you as a modern day Bob Clark, because you got two kind of holiday movies with Let It Snow and, of course, Secret Santa. My wife's more into those Lifetime-y kind of movies. So
I get it.
We watched that together. We had a good time in it. And to me, when I watched it, it really seemed like you and your brother had just a fabulous time making that movie. You guys looked like you had so much fun while you were making it. And I really came across with that movie. And speaking of Kip Marcus.
Yeah. Jesus.
So in Jason Goes to Hell, you guys chopped his head off in that movie, and Robert, you made the head for that movie.
Sure
so
did.
This movie was shot on a $30,000 budget, Secret Santa, right?
Yes.
Am I right about the money?
For $30,000 all in.
So a severed head's pretty expensive. So you decided to just retool Kip's head.
Well,
for the
I didn't
film.
let Bob know. What had happened was Bob had gone through the film and broken down all the effects, which is what he does every time we go to make a movie together. That's the first thing, is he'll break it down so that we can budget it. Or Marcy does that
Right.
now, I'm sure.
We both do it because
There
I
you go.
read and highlight the
We
script.
work
and
on
yes.
it together.
then she'll
Yes.
type it up, and then we go over each thing, and then we type in our little block of how we would achieve it. You know what I mean?
We
And,
kind of
how yeah.
discuss it. We not really argue, but I'm like, listen, they have no money. We need to do it this way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But anyway,
Sometimes
What
she
would be the
slaps.
going rate like to make one of those heads? I mean, how expensive is it?
Oh, a
Yeah.
really good fake head. I mean, on a low range, you're talking 10 grand and
Yeah, that's what I thought.
you know, on a high end, you're like 15 to
15,
20.
yeah.
When you're working with 30K, I mean, this was a blessing, I'm sure.
Well,
You know,
I mean,
But here
that head
was
was originally mechanical too. It
Oh,
had
yeah.
jaw movement and stuff in it. And although it doesn't really work anymore, I think it's broken.
the jaw still has its hinge in it, so it can be moved because
Right.
I had Nate move it so it would, facilitate.
the
don't
singing-
ever
But he
say that
does do
together
it.
again.
But here's the thing, Bob. So Bob, we go through everything, and Bob says, listen, I got a way to make all this stuff work, and he was already adding stuff that I wasn't even thinking about. That I was like, okay, let's do that too. But then he's like, okay, but then we get to the head, and I was like, oh, don't worry about the head. He's like, what do you mean don't worry about the head? It's the most expensive effect in the whole movie. Like, what do you mean don't worry about? I said, just don't worry about the head. Trust me. Just trust me on the head. He's like, okay. I said, I got it covered. He's like, you're sure? I said, yes. The head we're good with. We're good. We got to Big Bear, and I literally brought one of those white Filofax boxes and handed it to Bob. Like, I was like, here's our solution. And he opened it up, and his reaction was so magical. It really was. When he opened it up and saw the head, because I've kept it in really good condition. And the other thing is, wasn't Jason Goes to Hell the first movie you guys used? You guys went to silicone, right?
Now, that's not a silicone head. I believe, if I recall, that's a hot melt vinyl head.
Is it really?
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think it's a hot melt vinyl head
Okay.
because it was either urethane or that back then, or latex, which looks half time it shrinks too much. And
Right. It wasn't latex.
Yeah,
and
because
you
it
were
was latex,
thrilled.
it'd probably be done, right?
Yeah, you were thrilled.
You
But
wouldn't last so long.
I still have the chest plate you made of Drew Barrymore for Doppelganger.
Nice.
Cool.
And that was latex, and it is like it's your
Yeah, it's
grandma's
all parts.
boobies.
Yeah.
It is not Drew Barrymore anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm almost positive that was a hot melt vinyl head, which nobody likes to use anymore, but it's very toxic. But
Toxic. Yeah.
if you remember when we were kids, if you ever smelled the hot melt vinyl in a studio and someone using it, and I've smelled it and went, oh my God, who's making creepy crawlers?
Right.
Because that's what it was.
Yeah.
All us kids were playing with toxic chemicals on the back porch, making rubber spiders and shit when we were kids.
Yep.
And then at that point, someone told me how bad it was for
Yeah.
you, and I'm like, that's why they took it off the market.
You bet.
And
Somebody
ended up
sued
being,
somebody.
gelatin.
And then they
Yeah.
did the gelatin for the incredible edibles.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
I just told my sister how toxic it was, like Thanksgiving. And
Oh
she's
man,
like,
you'd
what?
sit on your back porch totally closed in,
Oh, yeah.
making those things all
yeah.
the time, and it was deadly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's just amazing. But
So Bob had made it with this material that wasn't going to break down.
Right.
And so when he got a hold of it, Michael Rady came in. We had Marcy took pictures of all the cast, so they had all these photos, and Bob basically tailored Kip's head to become Michael's head, which, by the way, wasn't that far a journey, because when I met Michael Rady, I said, hey, you want to be in this movie that I'm doing? And he was like, what's the movie? I said, it's a horror movie called Secret Santa. He goes, you're going to do a horror movie? I said, yeah. He says, oh, I'm in. I said, well, do you want to read the script first? He's like, no. You're directing a horror movie. I'm in. How do I die? He's like, how do I die? I said, oh, I know how you die. Because I had the head, and I was like, you look just like my brother Kip. Like, this is easy peasy.
The
And
hair
then
was
Bob really
similar.
just changed the head a little bit, and
Right.
suddenly we had Michael's head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did Kip think
Right.
of what you did with the head?
So Kip was living in Luxembourg when the movie was on the festival circuit, and we had gotten into Dublin Hearthon, which is an amazing festival in Dublin, right before Halloween. And so he flew out to meet us, and he took the whole cast out. There was a bunch of people from the cast who came to Dublin. I don't think for the movie, they just wanted to go to Dublin. So took everybody out, right, and came to see the premiere of the movie in Dublin. And so the scene progresses, and as the head comes off, Kip goes,
Did he know? Was he aware that was his head?
"No."
Okay.
He looks at me like, I recognize that head. And and then it happens, and Kip is like, "Motherfucker." It's like,
So good.
That's
That
great.
is so awesome, man. Like, I got little brothers, and they'd be just this awesome thing.
Severed head cutting. Yeah.
yep.
Right on, right
The
on.
best part on that one, I want to say, is having Nate hold that head. And I was doing BTS video and photography, and I was under the house with him, and he was down, and he had to walk up with the head. And this is what I tell people is the greatest part, because comedians have the best timing, but they also have the greatest ad lib lines and stuff. So he's standing and he's like saying stuff out loud, and I'm going, "Please do that one. Please do that one. Adam will die. I don't even know if you'll get the whole take. Please do that one." And so he starts holding it and walking up and saying,
Yeah. You know.
"It's not gay if he's dead." And he's got the head held right at his crotch. Adam yelled cut, and I don't know that he even stood up. I thought you fell down laughing so hard. It was ridiculous, but his
It was
lines,
great. And he
kept
did
going.
different ad libs on every single one of those shots. Each
Yeah.
time he came to the house was a different
He
version
came to
of
the
that,
house. Yeah,
of that thing.
he tried a different line.
And
Yeah.
then he's not gay. It's not gay if he's dead became a hashtag in London after
Did it
the London
really?
Pride Fest. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a thing. That was a thing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. He's incredible in the movie. Nate Hedrick is just amazing. He's just
Oh yeah, everybody in the movie was great.
Thank you, dude.
Like
Thank
it's just, I just really, everybody was so over the top and just insane, which is what the movie called for. And it was he was at one of the standouts when we reviewed it for the podcast.
Yeah,
the three people I like the best were him, and obviously Deb, and Pat Destro. Everybody was just great, man.
an
Everybody
amazing
was-
cast.
so
An
Everyone
good.
amazing
was,
cast.
I think, cast so perfectly. They felt like it was they're in their own skin kind of thing. They just connected. And I don't know their personalities, but they just really connected to each individual character and just sold it, you know.
Well, by the way,
none of
and
their
by the-
personalities in real life were like they were in the movie.
yeah, well. But by the way, to that's part of why Skeleton Crew was created. Getting back to your original question, because when right after Deb and I had done Texas Chainsaw 3D, Lionsgate invited us to a screening of the movie just for Deb and I, and this is a month before the movie was coming out, right?
Right.
So we were at the Lionsgate Theater. It's like a 400-seat theater. We're alone. We're just sitting in the middle of the room, and we're watching this movie unfold in front of us. And as it's moving forward, Deb and I are like, "That's not what we wrote. The fuck is that?" Things like, a girl from Chicago coming to Texas and telling someone in Texas, "Welcome to Texas, motherfucker." What?
Huh?
A movie that takes place in 1993. And I know that because we wrote that the movie playing in the town square was Jason Goes to Hell, which came out in 1993. And then there's a smartphone sequence in the movie. And we're like, wait a minute, that didn't happen till 2007. What is this?
Yeah.
And then, of course, Do Your Thing, Cuz kind of broke it for us. So when we saw stuff like that in the movie, I turned to her and I was like, did we get into this for this? Like, did we want to be filmmakers so that we could write stuff that we really love and that we believe in, and then end up with something that's just not ours,
Right.
and where we're going to get all kinds of shit for "do your thing, cuz," which is a line I never would have written if you had a gun to my head. And
That,
so-
the main character would have been in her 40s.
of course, and,
It doesn't
by the-
matter.
and
If
I
she's
know
a baby on August 8th or August 14th, 1974.
right.
You know,
And I know Alexandra, and trust me, she's much like Marcy. No one's ever going to believe when she hits 40. They're just not going to believe it, you know?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. There was that coupled with the fact that all the casting in horror movies of that size were now these kind of huge casts of people that had these long careers already, who had been on the Disney Channel or had rap careers and all this stuff. And I was like, you know, man, horror movies used to be the place where people got their street cred, like got a chance to do the work.
right.
And I work with, 55 actors every week that I adore, that are brilliant, who they're thrilled if they get the 2 lines before they get shot at the beginning of a Law and Order episode, you know? And I'm like, these are people who studied their whole lives, who've done incredible work around the world, and yet they come to Hollywood and they can't, and they get the part of playing the dead body. And I'm like, this has to stop. Like, this has to go back to what it used to be. And so Skeleton Crew was almost a reaction to, like, where the fuck did Roger Corman go? And how can we start making movies again that give people an opportunity, give people a chance to do something? And by the way, Skeleton Crew is doing bigger budget movies. In fact, one of the movies that we're doing next year, and we couldn't be more excited about, is a movie that Deb and I wrote that we're producing with Brian, that Bob is directing, called Hunting Season.
Oh, nice.
Which is fucking insane, much bigger movie. It's not a micro budget movie at all. It's a much bigger movie, and it's a movie that we really believe in. So, and look, Bob's directing, so we know how good that's going to be. But here's the thing: the company allows for that, but it also has this division of, like, hey man, let's just go make some shit. Like, I don't want to sit at home on a weekend watching Netflix. I have no interest. Like, I want to go and make movies. That's my joy.
But making shit with friends is completely different than,
Exactly.
You know, it's a different experience. I mean, we worked on Secret Santa with,
11 days straight,
Right.
and
it was the best time I've ever had.
I never had a problem.
Me too.
We
Me too.
We did an indie in May, and we had 6 days, weeks, three weeks, 6 days. And Saturday, I had brain fog.
Yeah.
And it was nice weather, wasn't bad weather, this and that. We do Secret Santa 11 days straight, nothing.
Because we were having
because
so
we
much
had
fun.
such a great time, and the camaraderie and building and knowing you're putting something with your heart and soul into it. And I'm sorry, the amount of blood was just so much fun.
Everybody was there for one reason, and that was
Yes.
to make a good movie and to have fun.
Yeah.
And it's a business as well, and of
Yeah.
course,
We wanted to get everything, get all the
it's-
notes, everything, hit all the spots we needed.
Please, we got hit with a snowstorm just as we were coming up the mountain to shoot
Right.
the movie, and we got snowed in for days. We were snowed in for 3 days where we couldn't move. We couldn't leave the
the
place.
power went out the first night too, the prep night.
Yeah.
So
So Marcy took video of all of us using our phones, the flashlights on our phones, to lay down the carpeting and the protective surfaces on the floors. We're doing this with our iPhones, and then going outside to charge our iPhones with our car batteries, so that we could keep moving.
Right.
And that only happens if you love what you're
What
doing.
you're doing. Yep.
Yeah, it
You're
really
having
seemed
a
like a
good
very family atmosphere.
100%.
And everybody seemed to really enjoy themselves, and it definitely came across in the film.
By the way, the only way it would have worked out, however, is Bob and Marcy had to be at the house that had the hot tub. That was that was a major stipulation. And it was amazing because we would finish the day and then they would go hot tubbing. And I'm like, how do you have the energy? I'm exhausted. Holy shit.
Yeah, there was random people joining us occasionally. And then we found out that it was broken. So probably day 5, when it started to be a little cold, We're like,
working.
okay, that we're done with that. We're like, wow, it's cold
But
now.
I cannot, no matter how, it doesn't matter what set I'm on though. There's no way I can just go home. I could be
Yes.
on set all night on Army
Yeah.
of Darkness, working
Yeah.
crazy hours, and then go back to the hotel, and there's no fucking way I can fall asleep without chill time, glass
Yep.
of wine,
He's
I
got
agree with you.
at
relax
least
time.
hour decompression.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's needed for
You
sure.
can shove me into bed and I'm going to sleep, but yeah, he's got
I,
his-
I can't do it, and
Yeah.
it's just I just cannot shut my head off. So
There's a buzz, there's an excitement, and again, especially if you're having a great time,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
such like it's adrenaline. And I remember them those on the days after the hot tub was kaput. We would all hang out in the other house
yeah,
in that sort of big living room area.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because like all the actors, everybody, like nobody was ready to go to bed. You know, and it was like this like amazing period. But again, that doesn't happen unless everybody really likes each other. There was no bullshit drama. It was kind of
Right.
amazing. Like
Right,
it
you're
was just a
right,
movie with no
absolutely.
drama.
And you all respectfully, and I want to say this because I've said it before, you respected everyone to keep on our 12 hours. If
Oh,
it
yeah.
went over, I don't remember because
No.
I swear you kept it on that 12-hour,
Yep.
and that is amazing. And completely, now that I've done all the other stuff, I so respect you for doing that because it's necessary. It really is.
Well, but by the way, the thing that makes that that's awesome. The thing that makes that work is look, when we first started, why I brought up the fact that there was this snowstorm. Our first day, we were half a day behind
Yes.
shooting wise
Mhm.
because there was no way we could start on time. We couldn't.
Right.
Half the actors hadn't gotten up the hill yet. Like they were
Right.
literally stuck getting up the hill. By day 3, we were half a day ahead of schedule.
Yep.
That happens
That
when
says
everybody's got a focus of purpose.
Yeah.
When you're having a good time shooting, but you know that you've got work to do.
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's like we had this very kind of weird, great family dynamic. And by the way, one of our leads, we did not know, but one of our lead actors, a brilliant, beautiful guy named Johnny G, John Gilbert,
Yeah.
had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's
Yeah.
and could not remember dialogue, like
Yeah.
none of it, couldn't remember a line.
Mm-mm.
And he's got a huge part in the movie, and every single member of the team helped Johnny G to get through that movie, helped him with his lines, where he had a great time. He had a ball.
Yeah.
But only because everybody was in the ship together to make it work. So you're literally talking about like everything was against us. The elements, one of our leads' memories, all of this stuff was really piled up against us. And again, no one freaked out. There was the only person who freaked out. The only person was the guy who had been hired to be my first AD, who by the third day of the movie, he was like yelling at the cast to do. And I said, hey, dude.
Yeah, we don't do that here.
I was like, listen, who are you yelling at? Why would you yell? We're a half a day ahead of schedule. You're yelling? No. I said, if we get half a day behind schedule, then we can talk about yelling. But until then, I don't know what you're doing, dude. And by
Yeah.
the way, that guy ended up doing a lot of other jobs, not really ADing. I kind of AD my own show because I don't need somebody cracking a whip because there's no whip necessary.
Right.
If you treat artists like people and you treat them with respect and dignity and you let them know that their ideas are just as valid as my ideas, and I want everybody to bring it to the, like, we're all in it together. Let's make it all great. Let's all work towards it being great. Then you don't need to yell at anybody. That's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Right on.
Great.
It's true.
So, due to the low budget on the movie, you
Yeah.
didn't have stunt people. Everybody had to do their own stunts.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, we did have
You
stunt
had
people.
one stunt person.
No.
Oh.
No, here's the thing. Freddie James, who plays Gordon in the movie, is the chef in the movie.
Yes.
Freddie James is my stunt coordinator. Freddie James is a badass who literally
Oh,
was
yeah.
just shooting stunts last night. Freddie has been on like almost every major television show
Right.
as a stunt person. But he's also my coordinator. Nate Hedrick is so if any of your viewers have been to Universal Studios out here in LA and they see the Waterworld show, Nate has been the villain in the Waterworld show for I think like 15 years now. He does the high fall every single day, several times a day.
I don't think they even have it anymore, do they?
They do. They still have the Waterworld show.
Waterworld?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to retire that thing. It's nuts.
Waterworld, like from the movie?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah, dude. It is literally a stunt show. That's what it is. It's explosions and high falls and all this stuff. And he plays the Dennis Hopper character.
Yeah, we did see
because he's
that.
bald.
Okay.
Jet skis and fire and explosions.
So Nate was also a stunt person, and then we had Anna Yosin, who was the person who did the high fall at the end of the movie instead of Ryan Keaton couldn't do that.
Right. Yeah.
But to your point, yes, they are stunt people. They are actors first, stunt people second, right? But they are stunt people, and that's why we were able to do with continue your question, because that I wanted to make the distinction of why we were able to do what we did.
Well, because everyone pitched in too, and we all wore hats. I mean, Bob did the effects, and then I babysat them while he was on camera, and then did stills, BTS, and video.
Yep.
And so it was all like that.
Everybody did that. There was no like, hey man, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Don't touch that plug. Because
our scriptie was one of the actresses. It just everybody did all of that, and it was that part was unbelievably amazing and freeing. And again, it's the bonding that we had during that time was just priceless. So.
And there are, by the way, to your point, Rick, there are 200 stunts in the movie.
Right.
There are over 200 stunts in the film.
Oh, absolutely.
But they were performed by the cast because one of the things that I do in LA is with my classes, I run a fight club. So the only rule of our fight club is that no one ever gets hurt.
Right.
And that's because of Freddie James. That's because of what he does with us to get everybody prepped and ready. I mean, the same guy that I just talked about having Alzheimer's, that guy did all of his own stunt work.
Yeah.
And never hurt himself. He was fine.
Yeah.
Well, I brought it up because I wanted to talk about the fight scene with your wife and Pat Destro, which I mean, they're not stunt people, right? So they,
No, they are not.
So that's a credit to how great Freddie was at what he was doing.
You bet.
I mean, it was amazing. I really wanted that was one of the questions I had for Deb, because that was just one of the best fight scenes in the history of movies. I was shocked when we were doing the review. I was texting back and forth with you, and when you told me that they did their own stunts for that, I was amazed. Yeah, but it's good stuff, man. Yeah,
thank you, man. That's actually Brian Sexton's favorite. My producing partner. That's his favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, it was
the glass in Pat's face. I'm sorry, amazing. That was so amazing, fun.
So good.
Yeah, that was so great.
So good.
And then to that point, actually, I believe it was the same scene when somebody goes and hits the tree.
Yeah,
I like to catch the BTS at the end of a scene. So I was catching the BTS. Adam calls cut, and the tree had gone down, and all the balls were rolling down the stairs into the kitchen and then down another set of stairs. And it's going ping, 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 ping. Everyone's laughing their asses off because we're like, is it ever going to stop? Because it just kept going ping, 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 ping.
It's true. It went on forever.
We're dying laughing. It was so great. We laughed so much during that and all the takes. I mean, Adam, I remember finally you actually blew a take. Because you laughed because you're like, and it was probably Drew, because his shit was just off the hook. So that was so fun.
Yeah, I was watching the behind the scenes that's on the Blu-ray, and the scene where he comes out, and it's not the scene from the movie. It's like
the rehearsal.
Yeah, Deb is just dying.
Yes, it's she's about to break, and Drew is like, "Don't you break!" It's really funny. It's really good. Funny. That scene, no matter where the movie is played, and no matter in what country we're in, when we don't have we'll have subtitles, but we don't have the audio changed for it, right? In every single country, that scene gets an applause break. every single time.
Yeah,
every
my,
time.
my wife lost her mind when it came on.
All of that, all of those lines, all of that interaction was just so perfect and so in your face, and
Mhm.
but just his delivery and timing is just
Yes.
it's priceless.
Impeccable.
Yeah,
But that's what you get when you write for people.
Right.
Because I went out and got my cast. I knew who was going to be in this movie,
right.
and then I wrote the script. So
Yeah.
it wasn't that I was like trying to put people into a role. I was like, are you available? Once I knew certain people were available to do the movie, I went, great. Now I know my voices. Now I know who I'm writing for. And if I know who I'm writing for, that's a very quick write. Deb and I finished the script in 20 days.
That's cool.
And it's all because we knew who our cast was. Then
That's
you know
very
what you can
cool.
do.
That's
Mhm.
unique, isn't it? Though I
Mhm.
mean,
It
to be able
is.
to do that, that's
is.
so unique and special. Yeah,
Makes a difference. Makes a difference.
couple of trains.
It's another train.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. The Kurtzman King train.
Just a side note, that's I told him a few years ago, I said I have to start recording that, and we went on this little train trip. It was just one of those day foliage kind of things.
Sure.
That's Morse code.
oh wow.
Oh, that makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. There's a
Yeah,
dashes
that's
and
great.
dots, and they're for letters, but just a letter. So
That's amazing. Yeah, the letters they're putting out is F and U.
Yeah.
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 How late do those trains come through? Like, does that happen all night?
Yeah.
all the time. It's a railroad town.
And that's really what it's like. F U.
If during the day it's cute, like you're trying to sleep at 2 a.m., maybe not.
No, it doesn't bother. We grew up
We-
with it.
we
So
Oh
don't-
yeah, no, you guys
Right.
don't hear it anymore.
it's
No.
actually soothing. I mean, we hear
Yes.
those thing, we're like, oh, we're home. It's,
We
it's
moved
like-
to Atlanta, and in Atlanta, everybody lives in air conditioning all the time. Just windows are shut because of heat, windows are shut because of AC.
Sure.
Mhm.
And of course, we moved into a high rise and immediately opened the windows. And the first night, and I will never forget it because we were on an air mattress that was actually kind of comfortable. And the window was cracked open. I don't know, it was like 12:30, 1 o'clock or something
Yeah.
like that. And it was one of those dozy things, and I hear the train. I hear a train, and we're just like hitting each other, going, "Oh my god, we're home!
That's
We're
awesome.
close enough to a train. That's cool."
That's awesome. No,
Did
it's
you feel at
funny
home?
when because I grew up in Manhattan, in New York, and I know a lot of people when they move, they're like, "Oh my god, how do you sleep with all the traffic?" I'm like, "No, I'm like that's the sound of the ocean."
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Don't you get it? Like if you
Uh,
listen to it and you think of it that way, like suddenly all of that traffic, that noise all night, it's like waves, just rolling waves.
It's just
Mhm.
lovely.
It
white
puts me
day.
to sleep. I sleep better in Manhattan than anywhere else.
I can relate. Growing up in the inner city, like
Yeah.
you got
Yeah.
lots of sounds.
Yeah.
So what do we got here? Let's see. So sometimes makeups can take hours to apply. Is there anybody that you've ever had in your chair that was like really difficult, maybe because of how long it took to put the makeup or the effects on? Did you have anything like that?
I hate naming names on a show and saying
Maybe don't name the names.
about it. But yes, I have. Well, yeah, I've had a couple difficult actors
Okay.
who complain, but not few and far between.
Mhm.
Most of them that are there and know what they're in for, but some, even though they get paid $20 million to be there and put something on,
Right.
they still bitch and moan and make it difficult. But
What's the longest somebody ever had to sit for you to put a makeup on, and maybe what makeup was that? if you
that was
remember?
Bride and Reanimator, and it was Kathleen Kinmont who played the bride. And the first day, me and Howard and Mike Spatola did the makeup, three of us on her. It took us 9 hours, and we got it down to 7. And it's because her entire body is covered with
Right.
prosthetics. So,
Right.
and
That is, by the way, if any of your viewers who have not seen that makeup, like they need to go immediately and go look at that makeup. It is fucking
watch
insane.
Reanimator and then Bride of Reanimator. It's
It
crazy.
is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I just
makeup
seen
is crazy.
Reanimator recently, because whatever year that was made, we did a year in horror for that year, And my buddy JP Cross, he's like really into that movie. It's like his favorite movie. So I knew he'd bring that up on the show. So I watched it, and then now I want to go back and watch all the other ones, but I haven't had time. So we'll since it's Reanimator's pretty fresh, I'll check out Bride of Reanimator.
Kathleen was really good on that, and we had Sally Hook and Dr. Sleep, and she was covered. Her feet were colored. The bottom of her feet weren't covered, and her right here was not covered. Everything else was covered. She was made to look naked, but everything was covered with wrinkle sheets and sores and
that took 5 hours.
5.5
still
hours.
Not as much as the bride.
But not as much as
Right,
Bride.
it's
And
insane.
she had to stand naked like this
as
for
did
4 or 5
Kathleen.
hours, as Kathleen
Yeah.
did, and not a
Which-
word, not a
Which
peep.
the difference back then is
Yeah.
there's 3 guys doing her makeup,
Yeah,
and
2 guys. and a
today
girl.
we
Yeah.
always have a female in the trailer with us helping. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
but
That's awesome. So so you've done like effects for literally everything. Like if I listed your IMDb list, I'd be here for like 3 days. So
not everything. It's so funny because someone will come up to me at a convention and they'll go, "So did you work on Underworld?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't work on Underworld." Or whatever.
IMDb
It's
is
like, you know,
good. The
it's like-
Wikipedia is usually
Yeah,
where I've had to
Wikipedia
go
always
in and
gets
delete
wrong.
things.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll
but-
just go through the list and I'll ask him, and he'll go, "No, why would that be on? Why
like
would somebody put that
came
on
up
there?"
and was like, "Can you sign my Blob disc?" And I'm like, "I didn't work on the Blob." And they're like, "Oh, but it says on Wikipedia." And I'm like, "God,
Stop.
whatever."
Yeah.
Anyway,
I can make it say I did it on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite effect, the makeup that you've done in your career, that you know something that really stands out that was like a huge thing? Like my favorite thing that you ever did was A Nightmare with you did the motorcycle kill, right? Or am I wrong about
New
that too?
Nightmare?
Am I missing
New
something?
Nightmare? No, what
Nightmare on
Nightmare?
Elm Street?
Which one?
4 or 5? 5.
So the motorcycle transformation was Chris Biggs.
Oh, so you didn't do that one?
No, you have to understand, on a Nightmare movie, there might be 3 crews.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Everybody has a different sequence
Yeah.
that they work on. So
So okay, so what was your favorite one that you did that was like, you know, maybe just something really crazy?
Do you have one of the nightmares?
well, I guess the one, I don't even know which one it is 5, maybe, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's
You're
the one at
credited
the end
on
where
Nightmare 5.
Freddy bursts out of the girl. There's a combination of animation, stop motion, but his leg comes out, whatever, and then his face spreads apart, and they're tied together like webbing.
Mhm.
And I don't know which one that is. It's 5, I think. But
That's
anyway.
5. That's 5.
It's 5. It is 5.
So that was really fun piece. And then we had mechanical heads of the actress that would pop out, stretch.
Mhm.
And at that point, I believe we were doing silicone. I can't remember though. Maybe not. No.
No, because
It
that was
might
prior.
have been, they were probably urethane heads.
Yeah.
At that
Is there
point.
something in
but
Wishmaster that you absolutely love, though?
no.
I thought there
I
was
hate
something-
everything in my own movies.
Oh
No,
my
I'm just kidding.
God.
I really liked Wishmaster.
I love that movie.
I actually,
Oh, good.
Wishmaster, I love the piano string going around his head
Mhm.
and ripping it off. In fact, I'm on the hunt. Speaking of listeners, I'm still looking for the head because someone out there has it. It came to his shop in Ohio years ago and took a picture with Bob with it. And we haven't seen it since then. We don't know where it is.
So they stole the head.
By the
No.
way, I would be a
No,
little
it was
nervous.
somebody who
Bob,
actually
They
bought
purchased
it.
but-
Oh, okay.
And,
Bob,
and-
I would
and-
be a little nervous that Marcy really loves when your head is the one that, like, your death is the
Yeah.
thing she really digs. I'm just gonna put that out there.
I don't know. I'm the one who put myself in the movie and decided to kill myself almost.
Well, yeah, no, I get it. By the way, I didn't kill myself in Jason Goes to Hell, but I'm in the movie getting hit by everybody, and they are Deb's favorite scenes. She's like, I love when they hit you. Like,
See, I know there's some correlation there. I don't know what it is.
yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, that kill, I was listening to a review of the movie, and that was their favorite kill in the movie was your kill. So
Oh, no
like,
kidding.
a lot of people really
Right.
dig that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because it's
Yeah, all
weird,
right,
and there's
whatever.
a lot of kills in that movie.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
not-
somebody was talking about it. There's been this like little bit
I-
of a resurgent on Wishmaster lately of people covering it, and they
my
were
least.
talking about the beginning is the most graphic, crazy
Yes, it is.
shit ever.
Yes, it
that
is.
it starts out that way, and I actually
It's
started
bookended.
rewatching it the other day just to get that beginning in again, and I was like, holy crap, I forgot
Mhm.
so much of that in the beginning. It's just
Yeah.
it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
love
it's my least favorite for me because I have to watch my hammy acting. My-
I just,
Well, this is
I just ordered the.
and there was a bunch of reverse shots in
You
it.
gotta look at Bob's incredible turn in Night of the Creeps. That's really where he shines.
when he doesn't
That's where he shines.
when he doesn't
As
talk.
prom date number 7.
Speaking of Night of the Creeps, I know they're doing
the man.
a reunion for that in, at the Living Dead weekend, right?
We heard about that, and we're trying to get in touch with them because a couple of years ago he did a photo op because he is a beta zombie up in
he sure
Chicago.
is. Sure
And
is.
so
I was going to
I-
ask if you were booked for that because we're going to that. That'll be my first like big convention I've ever been to, and I just ordered a Wishmaster McFarlane figure. That's what I was starting to say.
Yeah.
So that'll be in the mail. And it'd be awesome to get you to sign it.
cool. Yeah.
If you're there. If not, I'll wait until I see it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
We'll look into that. That would be great. Yeah.
they're doing a Night of the Creeps reunion and I think Creep Show, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it should be pretty sweet. That's at the mall with the
Yeah.
where the movie
Oh, and
was
by
shot.
the way, because you brought it up, I do want to give a little bit of a shout out to somebody that all three of us are very connected with, who is one of our closest friends. So I don't know if anybody's been watching the latest season of Creep Show.
Yes.
Now you bring up Creep Show, and which Greg is the exec producer on and all that good stuff. But I do want to say, a guy who has written episodes for every single season of Creep Show, who also was a writer on and Bob's co-producer on From Dusk Till Dawn, who also has won the Writers Guild Award 2 years in a row for The Walking Dead. John Esposito made his directorial debut this year on Creep Show. He did 2 episodes. One in particular that I loved, called The Belascos. He did a unbelievable job of directing these episodes. Like, this is a guy who's wanted to direct as long as Bob and I have been directing. And because he's been put in the writer box, like he's never really been allowed to do that. And I got to say, like, Greg, really let him step up to the plate and get in there and do 2 episodes. It's amazing. He wrote and rewrote a bunch of episodes on this season. And I have to say, I've been watching every season of that show, of Creep Show, because I'm a huge Creep Show fan and I love the original movie and all that. But I have to tell you, this season, hands down, for me, was the best season of the show. And I'm not saying that just because John did stuff on it, but I have to tell you, his episodes are fucking incredible. I mean, he really pulled off something. And when you figure that they shoot these episodes in 2.5 days,
Yeah.
It's like
you're like, okay, how did I'm going like, how the
How
fuck
did they
did
get all
they do
that?
that, dude?
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plus all the
it's
effects.
really impressive. So just somebody that the three of us love because
Yes.
it's family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give him a shout out because it's kind of amazing.
I just started watching those because I didn't have access to it until recently.
Right.
But I watched the episode with Ted Raimi and the Necronomicon and all that. I haven't seen too many of them otherwise, but I have them now. So that's going to be my
Check it out, man.
check
Check it out. Check out the episodes because this.
I just
season
wrote
really
it down
special.
so I can make sure to check it out.
Really special, man. Yeah, it's cool.
So speaking of, since he brought it up, From Dusk Till Dawn, I knew you did effects on it, but I didn't know that you wrote the original story for it, and then got Quentin to rewrite it. Is that what I'm?
No, not rewrite. I wrote the story and then brought
You
Quentin.
wrote the screenplay, right?
Yeah. It was actually me and John Esposito, who's my
nice.
producing partner on it, and we discovered Quentin basically.
And a video.
I mean,
I
so
heard that he gave you a couple of his scripts before the movies even came out for you to check out. Do you still have those?
What the scripts for? Oh, I don't have those.
You
but-
wrote. You were in on podcast. You said he gave you a script for early script for Reservoir Dogs and
Dogs,
True
Natural
Romance.
Natural Born Killers and True,
True
Romance. Yeah. Those were his sample scripts.
Those
at
are
that time.
samples.
So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he was like, holy shit, this guy has to be the one to write this
yeah,
screenplay
I
with
mean,
me.
we just went, yeah, he's perfect for this, you
Yeah.
know, and he loves the genre, you know.
Oh yeah, I really dig that movie too. It's good stuff for sure. I had, like
By
I
the
said,
way-
I knew you did the effects on it, but I didn't know it was your idea.
Mhm.
Oh
Until
yeah,
I was doing
no,
research.
it wasn't just Bob's idea. Bob shot way back in the day. Again, right when we were making Jason Goes to Hell, he shot a proof of concept trailer for for Dusk that was
Mhm.
like freaking incredible.
It's actually
it
really
was-
great. It's on
It was
YouTube.
the moment when you
still.
realized, like, wow, this guy can direct. Like, this guy knows the camera. It's really true, and
It's
and
on
did a beautiful job with his actors. I mean,
YouTube,
it's
don't know
really
who
good.
shot it, but it's on YouTube.
Yeah,
Sorry?
What's that?
I missed what Adam said there.
I was just saying it was, you know, the trailer was remarkable, and it was one of those moments where you realize that, like, wow, Bob Kurtzman can direct. Like, he really knew how to deal with actors. He knew how to deal with the camera. It was super impressive, and I will also tell you, I mean, I was lucky enough to read all the iterations of the story, of the script, of all that stuff way back in the day. And I will tell you the real reason that movie came to be. Forget about just from story sense, because the entire story was Bob's. That was Bob.
Okay.
And him and John worked their asses off on that stuff, and then brought Quentin in. And Quentin, nobody knew who Quentin was. Quentin was a guy who wasn't.
He was
even
working at a
writer.
video store.
And he wasn't even a Writers Guild writer. He was just a guy who had scripts, right? And so they recognize this guy's ability. They hire him to do this project. And then when Quentin blew up, right, all of his scripts sold, like he just sold everything off. Bob had the one script that nobody in Hollywood had. Like, it was like the one thing no one could get their hands on. And what's amazing is the tenacity of Bob to get that thing made. It's why that whole project came together. Like, that's kind of an epic. I hope somebody at some point actually has the balls to really tell like all the stories behind that movie, because it is an epic journey. But the captain of that ship was not Quentin. The captain of that, or Rodriguez, the captain of that ship was Kurtzman.
Nice.
That's just the truth, and it's kind of an amazing journey.
You were attached
Well,
to direct.
I created it to direct it. I mean, that was the whole point. And you know, I was stubbornly held on to it for a lot of years, until I went, hey, this is the right opportunity.
Right.
You know, Robert Rodriguez is interested, and it's going to be a bigger movie, and you know, we get to still do the effects, and I still get a story credit, whatever. But at a certain point, it was like, you know, this doesn't make sense to do this low budget $3 million movie.
Somebody's got to put some money into it. Let's do it.
But yeah, and it really was, you know, also it was a big introduction for me, struggling through that 9 years of trying to get that off the ground, was realizing how much bullshit, how many wrong people you can get involved with.
Yep.
That's the process.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway,
But I'm just saying, I'm underlining it mostly because, you know, like, success has a million fathers. You know,
Failure is an orphan.
Failure's an orphan, right?
Yes.
Well, Dusk Till Dawn was a success, and so everybody wants to be the, you know, I'm the reason, I'm the father, and that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
There's one father of that project, and I will tell you, you know, if it has a stepfather, that would have been Espo, because he was the longest running on the project with Bob from that point. So, you know, again, everybody loves to jump on shit and say, oh, like, that's Rodriguez and Tarantino. No.
well, there's so much misinformation about that, because I've had so many people ask me the question. So, you know, it was Quentin's idea, and you guys worked on like whatever. And I'm like, no, like, it's complete. But you know, I have to explain that whole process, because they just don't know in their head how
They were,
that was navigated. But it literally had, and that's the only reason I controlled it all those years, is because, you know, Quentin was hired to direct or to write it.
to write it.
You know, so he had no control over the script. You know, so it wasn't something that, you know, was that he could just sell off on his own.
It's just
You
a
know,
lot of
so,
misinformation.
yeah,
I think
but
that's
anyway.
perfectly
But-
put.
But I also think look, Bob is also very humble.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And he doesn't sing his own praises, which I respect to a degree. I am a carnival barker, so I don't give a fuck. I'm also, by the way, here's the other part of it, okay? And it's something that a lot of people don't like about me, and the people who don't like it about me, I'm kind of thrilled they don't. I also don't throw any bullshit. So I scream from the rooftops, but I say what the fuck really happened.
Right.
And so that's why I'm saying it. It's like these things, these legends that happen, you go like, it's like the Victor Miller, Sean Cunningham thing. It's like, well, it's funny, Sean, that you say you hired Victor to write this because I have a script dated way before you ever hired him. How'd that happen, buddy? Because your wife gave me your archives before she died because she didn't trust you with them. Isn't that weird? So it's
The truth
that,
is truth, and you say
Right.
this truth.
Yeah.
That's it.
right, and that's the
You
point.
always have to be honest. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people in our industry don't like that shit because
No, they don't.
sometimes the truth gets in the way of the legend.
Right.
And for me, the real legends of stuff like this is always more interesting when you go, wait a minute, Bob Kurtzman's the one who came up with that story? Yup.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, you know, with you, I know that what you say is true for the most part, you know, because I didn't mean to say it that way, but what I meant to say is I've messaged you and texted you about people that I know you don't even like, and you don't if there's something good to say about them, you still say it. You know what I mean? Like
You bet.
you know, and these are people that other people in your shoes would just shit on just to shit on,
Right.
Because you know the relationship you have with them.
Yeah.
But no, you text me back like, no, this is the way this is, and you know this guy did this, and you know, like,
Yeah.
and you've
Again,
always
again,
been that way in any conversation we've had. So
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure
I'm no fan of Sean Cunningham, but you know what? I said it here today. The guy was a fucking amazing producer. When it
Yes.
came to being on set and getting shit done, he knew how to do that shit. Like he just got it, you know? So look, I'll give the devil their due. That
Yes.
said, I will also say when you're full of shit.
right. And
And
that's
no
what I
problem
said. That's
doing
why I know you're telling the truth, because in situations like that, you never just shit on somebody just to shit on somebody. If anything, I've seen you give people praises that you may not have had such a great relationship with, or currently
Absolutely.
don't have a great relationship with.
Absolutely. Look, Val Kilmer's a great actor. That's it.
That's it.
That's all I can say that's positive. The rest of it is he's a terrible person, but a great actor.
And it's like that sometimes.
Yeah,
So-
it is.
With Dust Till Dawn, Tom Savini was in the movie. What were some of your, because he's a legend in doing what you do as well. So what were some of your influences? Was he one of your influences? You know, like who are the guys you looked up to in the industry? I guess is what I'm trying to
Oh,
say.
sure. I mean, you know, when I was in high school or even earlier, I mean, it started out way earlier being a fan of makeup effects and reading Famous Monsters of Filmland really is where I kind of gravitated first to that stuff. And Tom was one of those people that I would read about, and, you know, Rick Baker and Dick Smith and Tom Berman and all those guys, you know, were the generation that I really gravitated towards because they were in the magazines all the time, you know, and Jack Pierce, of course, but that was the older movies. But, you know, during that Renaissance era, that was like this mid 70s till when I got into the business in
Early
84
80s, yeah.
was that those were the years, man. Like and it was also when VHS had come out. So it was where I could actually now find the movies that I wasn't allowed to see at that age, or I just couldn't find that I read about, and they just weren't available, you know, on TV. And now I can rent them. So I spend the whole weekend sitting in the basement with a stack of 8 tapes from the local video store and just watch all 8 movies in a weekend, you know, and it would always be something I knew I wasn't supposed to watch, you know. So, but I would follow their work and anything that had makeup effects in it, that's the stuff I wanted to see. So, anyway, so yeah, those are the people that influenced me, you know. And then of course Rob Bottin, because you know once
he was from The Thing, right?
Yeah, one with The Howling and The Thing, that double whammy for me was just like incredible.
I think The Thing might be one of the greatest movies. Period. Not
It is
Yeah.
one of my favorite.
I agree,
movies
me
of all
too.
time.
Yeah.
And by the way, right in Secret Santa, you know, there's a direct reference to The Thing because
Right.
there's one in every single movie I've ever made.
Nice. Yeah, no, I loved it. I didn't see it until this year, believe it or not. So don't kill me for that. But
Wow,
we were doing me and my co-host. He's a big John Carpenter fan. I'm more of a Wes Craven guy,
Mhm.
and we were doing like a series like where we review a Wes Craven movie, we review a John Carpenter movie, and we picked 3 John Carpenter, 3 Wes Cravens, and The Thing was one of the ones he picked. So when I went and watched it, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta tell you, I envy anybody that first viewing of a movie like that. Like
Yeah.
when someone
Yeah.
tells me, like, I just saw this, I'm like, oh God, I wish I could have been in your eyeballs for that. 'cause
Yes.
that's so
Completely.
cool.
Dude,
Completely
it was-
different, though, watching it now. You watched it on TV. I don't care how big it is, your TV.
Yeah.
You
Right.
still watched it on TV. And watching that movie in the theater, I think I saw it 5 times the first week it came
Yes.
out.
Yep.
And that summer of '82.
Yep.
And I could not get enough of that movie. It blew my mind. And I just think there's a big difference between watching
We
movies.
did get to see it in
you know,
the theater.
screen and-
Oh, you
We
did?
get to see it in the theater. Yeah,
Oh,
we
you did? Oh, was that the re-release?
Yeah, this past year they did Christine in the theater. They did
Yeah.
The Thing. They Live.
Yeah, we
Wow.
went to see the thing, and I took my parents and some
Fathom
friends.
Events or something it was called.
Yeah,
And yeah,
Fathom,
yeah.
but
I heard about it. I bought all the tickets.
You watched the wrong copy.
Yeah, they actually had it playing in 4:3, and it's a widescreen movie.
Uh-huh.
Not 4:3, it might have been 1:8.5. Anyway, it
It was
wasn't the
wrong.
format. And I was like, what is wrong with this movie?
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, they're playing the wrong one. They're playing it, and the sound sucked.
Yeah. The
And
sound was so
I couldn't
bad.
figure it out. Well, everybody started complaining. Mick Garris, everybody was bitching about it
Yeah.
the next day. So they fixed it and
Yeah.
ran it another night.
Yeah.
Well, at that point, I'm like, I took people who experienced it for the first
For the
time,
first
and
time.
that's what they fucking got. And I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
pissed.
Yeah.
I
So
bet,
I
man.
actually, he tells me this is wrong. I actually ran out because we know the theater
I figured they
manager.
just had it set up.
I
wrong or
wanted to
whatever.
go
Right.
find him. I wanted I'm like, you guys don't understand. The sound is horrible, but it's not just that. The screen is like there's fuzzy stuff that shouldn't be fuzzy.
Oh,
Super, super weird. And they're looking at me like I'm a
And I'm-
crazy
and
person.
I'm like, the aspect
and
ratio
they're
is
like-
totally wrong.
Yeah, they're like,
You know, so
but that's what they sent us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So then I
Yeah.
told him, and he goes, we're screwed. We're literally
we're
gonna
gonna
watch
watch a
this
shit
shit.
version of
Yeah.
it now.
but again, I will say this: even still, being able to see that in a theater with other people in a packed house in the dark, I don't even care that it's the wrong version. You're
Right.
still getting so
Yeah.
much closer
Yeah.
to what was intended and what Bob and I got to experience when we were kids.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I was in that theater the whole weekend. Like I don't know if I even left.
Right.
Because it was so mind-blowing. It was like it wasn't even, and by the way, look, I was an effects junkie too, but there was something else. That movie, what it says about ensemble and what it says about like what great actors can do with genre material, because a
Yes.
lot of times you can't afford the great actors, so
Right.
you get people who aren't as interesting and aren't as good. You watch like a simple scene with Wilford Brimley in that movie, and you're like, God damn.
Yeah, you really felt something watching it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
We
It was just
heard
an
about
experience
every
like I've never
single
had
thing.
watching a film, to be honest. You know.
What were you saying, Murphy?
Watching that for the first time, we had a friend, Erica, and I actually bought the seats, and so I made sure she was in the row behind us, so that I could go like this and look at her face. You know, she loves horror, and she's worked at Kurtzman's shop sometimes, but she was sitting there going, You
Yes.
know, and I'd look at her and she'd look at me and she'd go, and then she'd look at the screen again, and it was just, yeah, she was blown away. It was
Yeah.
great. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I love Wes Craven, but I think I'm going to lose this debate with him.
Here's the thing. Both those guys are remarkable artists.
Oh,
The
yeah.
difference, the big difference between the two of them, Wes was so shackled to horror. And I think that he also, by the way, I knew Wes growing up as a kid. I knew Wes, and I knew
Another
Tom
Cleveland guy?
growing up. Huh?
I said another Cleveland guy.
He is-
Wes Craven.
Yes, yeah. I knew him. I knew him when he was working with
He was-
Sean.
yeah.
So I knew him from that world. But I have to tell you, he was shackled to the horror genre in such a way that the only way the guy could get even slightly unshackled from it was to promise the Weinsteins that he would do Scream 3 just so he could do Music of the Heart.
Right.
And of course, Meryl Streep signed on to work with Wes. So, like, the proof is in the pudding of the kind of guy he was. He was like a remarkable artist and a sweetheart and a great storyteller. The problem, I think Wes was one of those guys who was always worried about the job, but always working, about always having a job, right? And the difference is that Carpenter, I think he remained in some ways sort of like a teenager or an early 20s sort of rebel fuck you guy. And he's still kind of that, like, he's literally a guy that every studio now is like, hey, we'll give you money to make a movie. He's like, fuck off, I'm playing music, I'm doing concerts.
Yeah.
I'd rather have, like, I'd rather have screaming crowds of people who actually dig my shit, man. Like, I don't need your crap anymore.
Right.
And there's something to that rock star thing that he has, that mentality, that also let him go, yeah, I'm going to make a science fiction movie. I'll figure it out. Oh, you're only going to give me $5 million to make it? Okay, I'll figure that out. Like, I'll make it work. I don't think he ever let anything get in his way, including critics and the fucking audiences. Because, the thing that people now don't understand is the thing was fucking reviled. That movie was a box office disaster.
Yeah.
The critics savaged. I mean,
And he
fucking
lost.
savaged that movie.
He lost a big job, Firestarter.
Yes, he
He
did.
was supposed to start right after that, and
Yep.
yeah.
And by the way, isn't it great that we got the Firestarter we got instead of
No.
John Carpenter's Firestarter? I
No.
mean, like,
Yeah. No arguing.
it's like, never in a million years would have John Carpenter made poor Drew Barrymore go, back off. Wouldn't have happened. It just would not have fucking happened. It's crazy. And look, by the way, Big Trouble in Little China, talking about taking a big swing, right? And again, a movie that is beloved now. When it came out, oh my God.
Lot.
There
Yeah.
were people booing in the theater. I'm like, shut up, you moron. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
I'm sitting there. There's not one of his films I haven't thoroughly enjoyed, with one exception, the Chevy Chase Invisible Man movie.
oh, it's
is
not good.
probably the only one. But
It's not
the
good.
rest of them, I can watch over and over and over again.
It's true.
Yeah.
And there's something I love about each
Yeah.
one of them. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
I actually still apologize for Ghosts of Mars. I do. There's shit in that movie that works. Like, it's I
watched
go
it
like,
the other night. I put it on
Did you
the other day at the studio, and I remember it going, that's not what and
Right.
then I watched it again. I'm like, it's-
no, this is
Yeah,
this is
I
like a
enjoyed
decent
it.
little,
Yeah.
this is like a decent mid-70s exploitation movie. I get
Exactly.
it. I get this movie.
Yeah.
It's like, but people have this perception of like, oh, they gave you, $3 to make this one versus the $40 you had for the last one. Oh, it doesn't look as expensive. Why is that, John? I don't know. Because we had no fucking money.
Right. Right.
Still got a movie on the screen, kids. I think Carpenter, ultimately has a better batting average just because I think he was less hampered by worrying about where the next job was coming from.
Right.
And Wes didn't think that way.
Right on.
He worried about that next job.
Right on.
Legitimate concern, legitimate worry, but that's just not Carpenter.
Mhm.
Right.
Right on. Well, we are going to go ahead and wrap this up because we've been talking for like an hour and a half,
Love
and
it.
I got to go pick up my wife from work because our
That's awesome.
we're down to one car. So I got to go get back here. We got Craig Muckler going to be on the show later. He did Microwave Massacre.
Oh, well, shit, man, cut us off quickly for that. Get on
He's
that.
a great guy. I met him at Cinema Wasteland. He said, "Yeah, I'd love to do the show." And I was like, "All right, cool, man." So we're going to talk about that later,
Love
at like 7 on the live show.
Love
But I want to thank you guys so much for coming on and taking your time and getting this all together. Tell Deb I wish that, she gets better and everything's good. And we'd love to have her on, but unfortunately. But guys, we're gonna put Secret Santa. Watch it. What is it playing on right now?
Okay, so Secret Santa is exclusively on Screambox right now. Screambox became our partner in the project, which is amazing. They've been nothing but, I'm telling you, and I know you got to run, but one quick thing.
Oh, yeah, we're fine. I mean, I got time.
Cool. This is super important. It really is. And it's something that the three of us, because, Skeleton Crew includes Bob and Marcy. Like, they are Skeleton Crew. They are part of our team. And one of the things that we're going through, that everybody in the independent financing world is going through, all of us that make independent movies, we're all going through the same thing, which is what has happened and why we were on strike for the last 8 months.
Yes.
Okay. And why you're not going to get any new, NCISs for a while, or Blue Bloods or any of the shit on Netflix. The reason you're not getting that stuff is because the system is simply broken. It's broken. I am going to festival. Secret Santa has been now to 28 festivals. Okay. We have won festivals. We've been to some of the biggest international festivals in the world for horror, Sitges, Fright Fest London, Fright Fest Glasgow. And this movie had not broken even. It's a $30,000 movie and it hadn't broken even. That's the marketplace right now because of streaming, because of the way things are set up. And I got to tell you something. Screambox came in. We had been offered a ton of deals for Secret Santa. Everybody wanted the movie, right? No one wanted to pay for the movie. No one actually do what happened. And it's this concept of we have expenses. I'm like, we made a movie and you want to show it and make money from it. Like, how does this work, guys? Yeah. And here's the thing, because people are pirating, Secret Santa has been seen millions of times worldwide with nobody paying for it. Okay. Because of the way things are working out right now, it's making it harder and harder and harder for us to be able to survive. Pretty soon, independent filmmaking has become a fucking hobby because no one's going to be able to survive. No one's going to be able to live making independent film. And by the way, an independent movie doesn't star Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. That's not a fucking indie anymore.
Right.
That's a movie that has licensing. That's a movie that's pre-sold. That's a movie that's sold around the world to different territories. Those movies are protected. And by the way, I love those movies. I love Matt Damon. I love Ben Affleck. I love both those guys. What I'm saying is that for us to be able to make this kind of film, we need people like Screambox. Screambox came to us with an actual fucking deal, not with some bullshit, with a minimum guarantee on the table where they treated us like partners. And I got to tell you, man, that is such a refreshing, shocking thing when somebody actually talks to you the way it should go. And not only that, last week Screambox put Secret Santa on Vudu, on Google Play, on iTunes, on Amazon streaming. They put it everywhere and are sharing the profits with Skeleton Crew.
Absolutely.
That's the only way that independent film can survive. That's it, man. So Screambox is helping not only us, but it's helping our industry in this kind of, rebel yell of this is what we got to do to save the independent film market and the independent film industry. It cannot be based on stars. There aren't any stars anymore. That's a failed system too. So the audience better start getting ready and being willing to support the smaller filmmakers and pay for the shit you watch, man.
Right.
Pay for it. Don't steal this shit.
Yeah, see, I had a bunch of friends in the music industry, and I won't illegally download anything because of that. And now I have some friends in the movie industry, so no, I definitely I'll buy. They're like, why would you buy it? You can just download it.
Fire sticks. Somebody stop that. The jailbroke fire sticks make me crazy.
Yep.
If I hear
Well,
any,
Fire Stick is fine if you're using it to buy the stuff and not jailbreak it and steal the stuff.
Right.
Because you're like, why would you buy that? I can get you a Fire Stick. I said, I'm not going to do that.
exactly,
I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
exactly.
You know, they,
Because here's the thing,
worked
guys. If
hard for
everybody,
this.
if everybody keeps getting everything, everybody jumped on Lars Ulrich back in the day. Over
I was about to bring them up, but you were
over
talking-
Napster, but I'm like, Lars
He
Ulrich.
was like, dude, we
clearly
got our
the
millions.
owner.
This is for you.
Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, any kid out there right now who's considering film school, stop. Don't. You want to go to film school? Put your resume out and get a job. Get a job on a film set. Be a PA.
Yep.
Be somebody who's not going to get paid shit and is going to be treated really lowest man on the totem pole, and that's okay. That's a better film school because don't
Absolutely.
put yourself in debt for this. That's not the way it works anymore,
Yeah.
kids. Get in the market.
You learn so much more getting in various departments on a movie, maybe juggling from department to department.
Yeah.
Decide what
Yeah.
you want to do. If you want to work in camera, work in camera. If you want to work in effects, work in effects. But I wouldn't be directing without my effects background and learning how a movie set works.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
You know, thank God I didn't go to film school and
I'm
do
absolute
that.
proof of this
So.
because of starting out at 50,
Mhm.
just taking BTS videos and photography and holding his glue and gluing things down or re-gluing things down or bloodying things up and doing that little bit to Haunting of Hill House. I worked with every single department, coordinating everything that we had to do. And it's learning the ropes all the way around. Everybody works together, the teamwork and so on. And Adam, your Secret Santa was exactly that proof positive that just get your hands in it. And I tell kids that come to the table when he's doing a convention, find your tribe, find your director, find your cameraman, whatever you want to do. You need to find your tribe and start making shit. Just get it done. It's
by the
not
way-
great to begin with, but just learn. You
And
know,
by the way, when I went to film school, I went to NYU and it was awesome. I'm not going to say it wasn't a great experience. It was. It was amazing. But you want to know something? If I had had this,
Exactly.
back then-
Totally different era, different equipment available,
yes,
different technology now. It's like,
you can literally write, shoot, cut, and distribute all from this is a movie studio in everybody's pocket.
yep, yeah, that's true.
No
Right.
one has excuses anymore. So you got to just go do it, but also be willing to pay for when other people do it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
So,
what it comes down to.
So the film, like you can get it through Vudu, Amazon, Screenbox, all this good stuff.
Yeah.
And you can order a physical copy from what is the website, secretsanta.com?
It's secretsantathemovie.com, and you can get signed posters from Bob and Marcy and myself. You can get signed Blu-rays, DVDs. We've got all the merch you can handle on that site. So
And it's really
secretsantathemovie.com.
affordable too. It's really good prices.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And again, you're buying from the people who made the movie, which means the money
Exactly.
is going right into the pockets of everybody who actually made the movie.
Support the
Absolutely.
fellow artists, and when I say artists, it's just all of it, everybody, the crew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Support it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Right on. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. I'm going to end this. I'm going to get out of here. Thanks so much for coming on. And everybody go check out Secret Santa.
thank you.
Later, guys.